All right, so I got some questions from Sipho in South Africa. So I'm going to try to answer those questions. The first question is, what language is spoken in heaven? So from what I saw, there's direct mind-to-mind communication or telepathy. It's not really a language, but it's kind of like everyone understands exactly what is meant and intended. There's no miscommunication, but it's not like a language here on Earth. Um, I think it's a little different, but all my memories of the communication come out as English, and I think that's just kind of like my soul or my brain translating it. But I don't think there's a language like we think of it in heaven. Uh, did you meet or see other races? Um, so I didn't meet any like beings from other planets or anything like that. As far as races go, I did see that I had been many different races, not just a white person like this. I've been a number of different people of all different types, and I saw clearly that souls don't have race like people do, and that souls can move between races. I even saw pretty clearly that some souls would be one race and they'd like hate others of a different race, and then when they return to the spiritual side, they would learn that that's not good. That we can't just be hating other races, and so they'd actually want to swap and be that race that they had previously hated because they felt like it would be easier for them as a person of another race not to hate others. But that some souls would have to go back and forth a number of times, or choose to go back and forth a number of times, so that they could eventually stop hating others of another race. What songs did you hear being sung there? I don't remember any songs that I heard. Other people have described hearing songs or music, but I don't remember any of it. What clothing were they wearing, and what were you wearing? Was it given to you, or was it an automatic dress as to the step to the realm, long sleeve or short sleeve? Um, so, yeah, I did see that at certain levels, all the souls were wearing clothing of one sort or another. I think it's more like at at the lower realms, the souls were wearing kind of ragged, dirty, gross clothing. At higher levels, they wore beautiful clothing. It kind of depended on what level they were at. But at the highest levels, there was no clothing at all. Um, I think the kind of clothing that a soul is going to wear is directly related to their internal uh, state of mind, like how loving they are. The more loving, kind, compassionate, honest, etc. The more of those godly traits that they have, the better their clothing is going to look, and the better they're going to look. But at the highest levels, there's no clothing or anything like that. Um, the clothing that I had depended on the state I was at during the time that I'm talking about. At different times I had different clothing because I had different states of mind, and the clothing that a soul wears is directly related to what they are internally. It's not an external attribute, and it's not something that is like handed out or given to you. It's just kind of naturally part of how you're going to look. Uh, what activities do people do in heaven day to day? So I can't quite answer that, but I did see a couple things. I saw different souls that were working really hard to help lower level souls to advance to move up to higher levels. I saw that there was quite a few souls that are at higher levels that desperately want to help souls that are at a lower level. They want them to progress and to get better and to move on. And they were working very hard in all kinds of different ways to help the souls lower levels to move up to higher, happier levels. How often and how do they worship God in heaven? I don't think I can quite answer that. It seemed like, here on earth, it's kind of confusing about the existence of God. There's a lot of people that don't believe in God or don't understand God at all. But at any kind of level in heaven that's happy, the souls there recognize the existence of God. And at the highest levels, it's not just that they worship God, but they're kind of like merged with God, and the enjoyment they get out of that is immense. Do they change attire when it's time to worship? Do they wear crowns? So I didn't see anyone at any level wearing a crown. That was not something I saw. And I didn't see that anyone was really focused on the kind of clothing they were wearing. It was just kind of like the clothing just fit with whatever level they were at, and they weren't too concerned about it. Um, how did the Lord express Himself to you? Is He one with the Father? How many bodies did He use to express Himself to you? Okay, so I think this question is about Jesus, and I didn't uh, talk to Jesus or meet Jesus the way some people describe. And the my guides or no other souls or angels or anyone described Jesus to me. It wasn't like that. So I couldn't really answer that question. It definitely seemed like Jesus was a real person and very important, but I didn't interact with him. Describe the angels you saw and their activities. So the what I think were angels were beings of light that were extremely powerful and more advanced than me. They definitely seemed like they understood what was going on way better than I did, and they were made of light. They were translucent, meaning you could kind of see them and see through them. They were absolutely beautiful and a loving, and they seemed powerful and very serious. And so they were very beautiful to look at, but it wasn't just like a person who has facial features. Because they were translucent, you can like see into them. You can see they have internal features, and the internal features have their own beauty to them that I couldn't really describe. But it's like if you look at a person's face, you can kind of know some stuff about them, their age, their gender, their race, that kind of thing. But with the angels, when you look into them, like you can see internal characteristics that really have a lot of deep meaning about what that angel has been through, or what kind of experience they are, or what kind of angel they are. I didn't really understand it, but it was very beautiful, and I could tell that there was a lot of meaning to all these internal features to these angels that you could see because they were translucent. Um, Describe the building and structures there, the roads and others. So at the lowest levels, at the unhappy levels, I saw that there was, um, in some places, there was no buildings. It was just like a rocky, barren plain at what I saw was the lowest levels. At some levels in unhappy realms, there was like dirt roads and really ugly, decrepit buildings and not really a lot of light. And then I saw a happy level. Um, they kind of looked like Earth. It had buildings made of wood and roads, and I even remember seeing this light post, and the souls there were happy. And then at higher levels, the buildings are made of light, and they're like translucent. You can kind of see through them. And at even higher levels than that, I don't think there are any buildings. I think souls move past this earthly view of things. Did you observe any machinery there or any form of vehicle or equipment? No, I didn't observe any sort of machinery or vehicles. I've heard other um, people describe that kind of thing during their near-death experience, but I didn't see anything like that. But I did at one level see that the where people were, it looked a lot like a city in um, that humans might live in on Earth, but it was kind of like old fashioned. It was something from maybe a couple hundred years ago. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when this was. What you said about the standard of holiness and what it takes for one to enter the kingdom of God. All right. So what I saw was pretty clearly, and what I was directly told was that God is kind, compassionate, honest, empathetic, forgiving, um, accepting, and that for us to enjoy the most that God has in store for us, we need to have those same kind of characteristics. And the more that we embrace those characteristics and we treat others accordingly, the higher of a level that we're going to be able to go. So if someone wants to get to the highest levels, they need to practice all those godly traits, being kind, compassionate, honest, have self-control, acts of service to others. As we freely embrace that kind of living, we will be fitting ourselves to higher and higher levels of heaven, where the souls there are happier and happier. What you said about sins that cannot be reversed, like murder, abortion, divorce, children born out of wedlock, etc. Okay, that's not something I said. Any sins that a person has, they can be overcome. We can get past them. There's nothing that a person could do on earth that can never be fixed or corrected. No one is ever forever tied to the mistakes they make. God has a way for everyone, no matter how horribly they screw up. Eventually, through their own efforts, they can overcome and move past all of these kinds of sins. None of them will hold them down forever, but some of these sins, they're going to bring suffering and unhappiness to ourselves. If I was to murder someone, I would be not just ending that person's life, but I'd be affecting the lives of all the other people that were related to that person I murdered, and I would receive those consequences for myself. And after I had received those and I'd gone through the suffering that I had caused others, I would learn and grow by it. But I would no longer be held down by that sin or that murder that I had made. So there's a way for every soul to move past whatever mistakes they make. What is the manifestation of baptism of the Holy Spirit? I don't really think I have an answer to that question. I'm not sure. Did you observe other worlds and any civilizations? So before I came to Earth, as part of my starting out as a soul, I observed thousands and thousands of different worlds that were kind of like this, where we have spiritual beings that are incarnated in a physical body. I observed many, many, and I could have gone and begun life on any one of those worlds, but I don't remember any kind of details about what they looked like, what differences they had. I only know that they're out there, and there's a lot of them, but I couldn't describe what any of them looked like. What about aliens? Are the fallen angels, and how should we deal with them? So, if I met any beings from other worlds, I don't remember. Um, I don't. I'm pretty confident that there's aliens all out there in the universe, but I don't know that any of them have ever come to Earth. I haven't seen anything like that as a person. Um, but I view them all as just like us. They're a soul that's developing, and they're living a life that allows them to learn and grow and to become more loving and kind and compassionate. And so that's how I view aliens. How old is our world? What happened to the dinosaurs? Who built the pyramids? Well, I think our world is, I agree with the scientists that it's roughly 5 billion years old. I think God formed the universe and the earth according to the way science tells us that the earth was formed. Um, I think it's about 5 billion years old. What happened to the dinosaurs? I don't really know. I accept the common answer that there was a meteor strike and that probably led to the demise of the dinosaurs. Who built the pyramids? My personal opinion is that the Egyptians built the pyramids and that other people in other parts of the world built their pyramids. But again, I don't know. I didn't see anything directly about that during my experience. Describe in detail how it felt to be there. Okay, so during my experience, I relived a whole lot of different um, events that had previously happened in the spiritual realm. And so how it felt to be there was very different depending on what level I was at. During the times where I had been a hateful, angry person, it was a miserable experience. Okay, just absolutely horrible. At the times that I hadn't believed in God, it was it was an experience of darkness. Okay, it was confusing, very confusing, and I was in darkness in the afterlife after that kind of life. When I had been a loving, kind, good person, after those lives, it was wonderful. It was a fantastic existence and just absolutely terrific. What is the ultimate purpose of mankind? Okay, so we start out as ignorant souls with no experience, no background, kind of like a little baby on earth. And through our own experiences, we learn and mature and grow and become more godlike. We become more compassionate, loving, kind, forgiving, that sort of thing. And so the purpose of us being here on earth is so that we can learn and grow and move towards our ultimate end, which is a very happy existence with God. But in order to get there, we've got to freely choose to be kind, compassionate, honest, forgiving, etc., and to treat others around us well. But the way God has designed this system, everyone's going to get there. You know, it's a question of do we get there sooner or do we get there later? And as we as we fail to embrace those kinds of loving at, loving strategies towards our neighbor, we hold ourselves back and we bring ourselves more frustration. But eventually, we're all going to get there. We're all going to figure this out. And when we do get there, we're going to be extremely pleased with how happy our existence is, and we're going to feel like it was all worth it. Like all these difficulties we've gone through, they were all worth it. So I hope those answered your questions. Thanks to Sipho in South Africa.